You didn't just witness history, you lived it. Now, let's remember the man whose voice moved mountains. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't just a leader. He was a sound, a rhythm of justice, echoing through generations. His voice was not merely heard in speeches or shouted in marches. It was felt in the hearts of millions, resonating with a call for dignity, equality, and peace. To those who lived through his era, his message was a daily companion, guiding the conscience of a nation searching for its soul. Born in 1929, in the heart of Atlanta, young Martin grew up surrounded by the warmth of family, the strength of faith, and the harsh realities of a segregated America. The world he entered was divided by laws, customs, and silent fears, but within the walls of Ebenezer Baptist Church, he learned the language of hope. His parents taught him that love was stronger than hate, and his community reminded him that faith was deeper than fear. These early lessons would become the foundation for a life dedicated to unity, a unity built not by force, but by compassion. As he grew, King's questions grew with him. Why must a child be denied entry to a playground because of his skin color? Why should a family be forced to sit at the back of a bus or drink from a separate fountain? The answers he found in Scripture and in the stories of past heroes led him to believe that justice could be won, not with violence, but with resolve. In 1955, at just 26 years old, Martin Luther King Jr. was thrust into the spotlight of a movement that would define a generation. The Montgomery bus boycott began with a simple act of courage, Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat. But it soon became a test of endurance and faith for an entire city. For 382 days, thousands walked instead of riding, their footsteps echoing the hope that change was possible. King's leadership was marked by an unwavering commitment to nonviolence. He urged his followers to meet hatred with love, to answer injustice with peaceful resistance. The boycott succeeded, sending a message that dignity could not be denied, and that unity was stronger than division. The journey did not end there. In the years that followed, King marched through the heart of the South, challenging the laws and customs that kept people apart. His mission was not merely political, it was deeply spiritual. He believed that every human being deserved respect, and that the arc of history would bend toward justice, if only enough hands reached out to guide it. Perhaps the most famous moment came in 1963, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. The March on Washington drew hundreds of thousands, all gathered to demand jobs and freedom. King stood before them, and with a voice both gentle and commanding, he shared his dream. He spoke of a future where children would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. His words painted a picture of a world where freedom and equality were more than ideals. They were promises waiting to be kept. For many watching at home, that day was unforgettable. Families gathered around flickering television screens, their hearts pounding with hope. Tears fell as King's words soared above the crowd, reminding everyone that change was not only necessary, it was possible. For some, the dream felt distant. For others, it felt close enough to touch. But for all, it was a call to action. A reminder that history is made not only by leaders, but by ordinary people who choose to believe. The movement for civil rights faced tremendous challenges. In Selma, King marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, leading hundreds in a plea for voting rights. The marchers were met with violence, but they did not retaliate. Their courage and King's insistence on love over hate won the sympathy of a nation. Changes followed, laws were passed, doors were opened, and the country began to confront its own conscience. King's influence reached far beyond marches and speeches. In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, recognized for his commitment to justice without violence. The world saw in him not just an American hero, but a universal champion for human rights. But King never let fame distract him from his mission. He continued to fight for the poor, for workers, for those whose voices had been silenced by neglect or prejudice. In Memphis, he stood with sanitation workers, declaring that their struggle for dignity was tied to the struggle of every oppressed person. Through all of this, King's voice remained steady. His message was calm, but his conviction was thunderous. He spoke of peace, but he demanded justice. He urged reconciliation. but he would not accept compromise when it came to human rights. His leadership was defined by courage, grace, and an unyielding belief in the power of love. Then, in April 1968, tragedy struck. King was taken from us, his life cut short by an assassin's bullet in Memphis. The world mourned, and the echoes of his voice seemed to fade into silence. But even in grief, his legacy endured. His sound lived on, carried by those who marched, those who dreamed, those who refused to let hate have the final word. Today, his spirit remains alive in every peaceful protest, in every act of kindness, in every moment when someone chooses unity over division. The challenges we face may look different, but the principles King stood for are timeless. His dream is still unfinished, but it continues to inspire us to work for a better world. For those who lived through the era of Dr. King, his memory is more than history. It is a touchstone for courage, a reminder of what is possible when people come together in pursuit of justice. It is a legacy carried not only in speeches and memorials, but in the everyday actions of those who choose to stand up, speak out, and love without reservation. As you reflect on the journey of Martin Luther King Jr., remember that his sound was not just the sound of courage, it was the sound of hope. It was the promise of a future built on respect, dignity, and peace. And it belongs to all of us. Subscribe to Soliv and rediscover the voices that shaped your world. Serenity in sound, memory in motion. Let the legacy of Dr. King remind us that even in the quietest moments, the sound of courage can change the world.